And we're live. Welcome.
Hey, good evening. Here we are, January 2026. It's hard to say. Man, that's crazy. How you been, Joe?
Doing well, doing really well. I couldn't be more excited, brother. I will tell you, I mean, you know the exact count. We're like barely 8 weeks, 54 days from ILEETA 2026, St. Louis, Missouri. And time is just going so fast, but super excited about it, man.
54 days.
How about you? Yeah, how are you doing?
It's crazy, man. You know, I'm super stoked. You know, for those of you that are regulars, Todd isn't here. I was just on a call with him. Him and Ray and some other ILEETA folks are out there playing around in Vegas at the SHOT Show, and we got a surprise here coming up here very shortly. And you know, it's phenomenal talking to all these ILEETA members so much throughout the year. And as it gets closer, man, it's almost here.
It is. You know, and I mean, we'll kick it over to this video here in just a second, but I will tell you, it's really cool seeing the stuff coming out of SHOT Show. And that makes me even more excited for our expo because there are so many great things that they're showing videos of, and they're meeting with the vendors. And I'm seeing so many familiar faces that we're going to see in March in St. Louis. It's like, you know, kind of like a pregame, if you will, that they're out there.
Absolutely. You know, we've got a powerful show lined up tonight, and a wonderful, outstanding guest, Mike Marotta, will be coming on here shortly. And you know, I know you guys don't want to hear us banter back and forth, so let's just get into the news here. Hotel reservations, Joe. What's up with the any news with the hotel?
There is. So if you go to the website under conference, you'll see area hotel links. The Union Station has been sold out at our rate for a little while now. But what's happening is people adjust their reservations and that sort of thing. We see constantly new rooms coming up as available, then they'll go away. So always check there first. This is my big request to anyone who has reservations that they need to adjust. Please get in there and adjust them as soon as possible, because our rate ends on February 25th. That means if we wait until the last minute, we lose that room. An ILEETA member doesn't get that rate. So please take care of that. But adjacent to that hotel, we've got the Drury. It was sold out online, but I know people were able to get rooms by calling. And then right up the street is the Fairfield and the Courtyard. Both of those still have rooms. And I can tell you, Jill Johannix, who oversees business development and the expo and all that kind of stuff, she's been working really hard with our hospitality group to get a group rate at one of those hotels. And so I can't give out too much of the details yet, but I can tell you something is coming on that. So there are area hotels. I just checked Expedia. There's a whole bunch of hotels in the area. Just unfortunately, the Union Station goes fast. You know, you're coming to the conference, get in there and make that reservation as soon as we announce the dates.
Absolutely. Vendor booths. We still got some vendors booths that are just a few left to go. So
yeah,
you know, off the top of your head, how many? Or
currently, I think we have about 20 something tables left. We've got about just under 100 vendors currently registered, and I can tell you that there are others sitting on the fence. So there are, but dude, I want to let the cat out of the bag. Axon's footprint this year, it's going to be off the chain. Like they've done something super cool. Get ready to see Axon coming in full force. They're going to do something really cool with that space. Even outside of the, maybe I shouldn't say anything, but I'm going to. I don't know who's all watching this, but there's, yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. So yeah, the vendors are doing some really cool stuff this year. I'm super excited about it.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Learning Lab. You're bringing Learning Lab back, or you've already brought it back. And I
Yeah.
just seen a teaser from somebody I know here in Colorado. I didn't know you were going to be speaking with him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'll tell you, man, I'm very excited about these. It's so the Learning Lab. Brian Willis and I had a great conversation about what the Learning Lab was, what it will be, what it can be. And when he handed it over, he said, you know, that Joe, go ahead and begin to work with it again. My initial thought was, let's get back after those deep interviews like he used to do. But I realized the folks coming to the conference have so much good stuff to share with us. Why not get them first, right? And so that's my main emphasis. And so as of today, I think I have roughly, I think I've got 8 or 9 videos done. And I think 7 or 8 of them are actually full on YouTube. Go in there and check those out. Learn what they're going to be talking about. And like I've asked each of the guests so far is talk about not only what you're going to talk about at the conference, but leave the viewer with value, regardless of whether they come to the conference or not. And so, like, just talking about Rick Jacobs, for instance, what he did with LTEM and this evaluation model. You know, I had a great conversation with Carrie Avery. I've talked to, you know, Mark and Eugene. They're going to do the AI, developing classes with AI as well. So there's just so many great videos on there that really make it worth watching. And so, yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, I mean, ultimately at the end of the day, now is the time to register for the conference, but I'm going to share the good news with everybody right now. I'm super excited about this. Registrations rather, are almost 1 full month ahead as far as trend line goes. Where we're at as far as reservations today is where we often sit in early to mid-February. And so we are well ahead of the trend line, and I'm super excited. That just tells us that this year is going to be an outstanding conference. But I could talk about this all day, Brian, but I think we got something else to get to here in a second, don't we?
We do, you know, and let's just jump right to it. Let's bring Todd and Ray on.
Hi, Todd Fletcher and Ray Merlin. We're reporting to you live from the 2026 SHOT Show in Las Vegas. So there's going to be a lot of people around us. There's a giant crowd, a lot of exhibitors here. Ray, what has your SHOT Show experience been like?
SHOT Show experience, Todd, you know how it goes. Just a lot of people, just a lot of movement, just very exciting. From the aspect of for ILEETA, you know, come here, you meet those vendors that come to our conference and expo. You know, Milo, you can't say enough about them. They're at ours. I just get catch up with them. We're also excited with Silent Sean Chris from there, met with him, and they're going to be at the conference and expo, so meet with them. But you know, the big thing is you see the other ILEETA members and just catch up with them, see how things are going also. And then the same thing, talk about the training coming to St. Louis. So for me, it's just exciting meeting everybody. You can never go wrong also when you talk to, you know, Glenn from NRA. So
ILEETA members all over the place.
Come on, say hi.
Andrew coming in saying hi. How's it going? Good to see you. See, this is one of the great things about coming to places like SHOT Show and being a member of ILEETA. It's like no matter where you go, you run into other ILEETA members, and it's like, once again, it's kind of like running into family.
Yeah. Yes. So, and it's a great thing. And like I said, we start talking to people, just run into them. And then, you know, it's about, you know, the expo, obviously, it's good seeing you.
It's good seeing you, man.
But it's also about meeting those new people that maybe are going to write for the journal. Hey, this is the experience we had. Come and write for us. See what we're about. And just not about the show, but about the connection year round. And that's what's exciting about seeing everybody here.
So if you're ever at SHOT Show and we're here, make sure you hit us up. We'd love to see other ILEETA members here.
All right, Todd. That's everything. Always thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
I love it. You know, like I always say, when you're a member of ILEETA, you're never far from a friend. Walking through SHOT Show is a great example of that. You will literally all around you. You know, in fact, actually, 2 ILEETA members, Lon Bartel and Robert Cole, both presented at the law enforcement training there. I mean, just so much great ILEETA stuff happens at SHOT Show. So thank you, Todd and Ray, for making this possible. And I know Billy Bob's out there as well. So thank you very much for jumping in here with us tonight.
Billy Bob was behind the camera. He was, for some reason, he didn't come out behind the camera. But no, you know, all the conferences all over the country. You know, I was at IACP here in Denver earlier last year. It's hard to believe that 2026. But anyway, I ran into probably at least a dozen people at the IACP conference. So yeah, it's just a wonderful experience going around the country and running into what I call the family members of ILEETA. But hey, we got somebody to bring on.
We do. Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of ILEETA members that we want to talk to, you're never too far from a friend. Let's, without any further ado, let's bring out Michael Marotta. Where did he go? There he is. Hey,
there he is.
How you doing?
Good, man. How's it going?
It's going.
Mike,
I wore my shirt for you.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that. I was sitting here thinking, like, I wondered when you guys were going to invite me to be part of this podcast, man. So it's finally you. I'm glad to be here with you guys.
Here
We
you are.
Excited you're here, dude.
We're glad you're here. The first guest for 2026.
Oh, yeah. Hey, look at that.
Yep.
There you
Absolutely.
go.
Starting off strong. And I'll tell you, I mean, we've got a lot we want to get into with you and kind of chat with here, but I'm just going to jump straight to the gratitude, the thank you. So your history with ILEETA started when you were with First Help. You did a phenomenal presentation on resilience, the range of resilience. And I think it clicked something in both you and the association about the relationship with you wherever you go. And you did a great job there. But now coming back 2 years in a row as a senior leader with a phenomenal organization. We'll ask you to talk more about Warriors Heart sponsoring Emerson Hour. That is a tremendous event, and you guys have helped raise the bar on that. And so on behalf of Todd and everybody involved in Emerson Hour and setting that up, the speakers and him as the MC, thank you.
Of course. No, thank you. And, thank you to our founders. They're really the muscle behind, I'm able to, they give me the space to be able to make those requests and support. And then they're able to kind of be the driving force. So, we're excited to sponsor it for a second year. And before the show, Brian and I were talking. I said, it's really great that I get to be there and I don't have to speak because, man, was that stressful for me last year.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Emerson
But
Hours.
we know, I can tell you, Brian and I both are well aware of the anxiety, the buildup into the 6 speakers for this year who, whether you're watching right now or you catch the replay of this, our hearts go out. On behalf of all 3 of us and everyone who came before you, the Emerson Hour alumni, we know where you're at. We see you there.
Yeah, right. Like we consider ourselves, we're instructors. We know how to be in that space. And then they said, we need you to do this thing. And it was like, blah, blah, blah. A tremendous growth opportunity for whoever's listening and got chosen to do that. What I can tell without a shadow of a doubt is afterwards, you're going to feel like you just climbed a mountain and you can do anything. It's pretty awesome.
True story.
Absolutely.
True story. And you make a difference. Go ahead, Brian.
I was telling Mike earlier before we went live that it's the most stressful thing and the most rewarding thing that I think I've ever done in my life. And yeah, it's and just to sit there in the audience and listen to those powerful, inspirational, motivational stories that each person has to offer and the vulnerability that everybody has when they come up there on stage, putting themselves out in front of a lot of strangers speaks volumes of our members.
Yeah. The
Absolutely.
perspective, it's really beautiful. The perspectives that people bring in, you go, I didn't think about that. That's really a great way to see that. Yeah. Super cool.
Yeah. Well, we jumped right into the conversation here, and we certainly know who Michael Marotta is. But why don't, if you can, just kind of walk us through your story, because you've got a pretty cool story. You go all the way back to the Air Force, even before that, obviously, but Air Force to PD to groups you work with. Yeah, tell us about it.
Yeah. So thanks. Great question. So I joined the Air Force. I was like an old guy. I think I was 22, 23, and I remember being the old guy in the barracks. I remember growing up in San Antonio, I just kind of wanted to be an air crew member. Just blessings. Things worked out the way they were supposed to. I was able to be a C5A loadmaster. I was in the Air Force Reserves, but spent my first, several years on active duty. Like, I didn't know what being a reservist was. I mean, the ops tempo was high. And then I remember the order started to get more sparse, get a job, became a police officer. Part of the story was I'm a second generation police officer at San Antonio PD. My father was, and another story for another time, but that was part of I was like, I don't want to be a cop. My dad, we're great now, but we had a strained relationship growing up. Became a policeman, did that for, almost 17 years. And then there was a lot of really great things I did within that, served in a lot of really great roles. I was on the behavioral health unit my last, 5 or 6 years, doing the crisis negotiations, doing the co-responding, really turned my focus inward to the officers, because I recognized through my own kind of mental health journey, through my own reparative experience in my marriage, there was a problem. And somebody needed to do something about it. And so I just me and Joe Smaro, we just crusade of how are we going to help? What are we going to do? How can we use the power of the peer to support our police officers? And so kind of set off doing that, teaching a class. And within that kind of framework, we were teaching 6 pillars of wellness. And here's what happened, Joe and Brian, and it was really cool. After every class, people were sitting in the class and, teaching cops. I know there's cops listening to this. They're sitting there like this. And, stone face looking at you, and you're like, do I got them? Are they hearing what I'm saying? And then you start sharing your pieces of yourself, the busted up marriages, the relationship with the kids, the lack of presence at home, my passive, the passive nature of being a husband. Like, I was all these things, and they were coming up after the class, and there was a line. Hey, Mike, man, the story landed with me. Hey, the story resonated. I really want to talk more. And then that's really where it started. This thing just blossomed and bloomed into something really special. The department took notice, ironically enough, and we'll get into that, I think, probably here, but I leave the career field, and this thing takes off. They create a wellness unit. They have an entire team, supervisor. And while I love that, what I didn't necessarily recognize when I was in it was sometimes you got to move yourself out of the way for the thing to work. And I didn't necessarily see that, because I was like, I'm doing great work. This is the most important work of my life. This is the work I can do. I could do this the rest of my career. What I didn't know at the time was there had to be something, whether it's God, the universe, I needed to move out of the way so that this thing could then grow and blossom. And so that's probably a little too many words, but took me out. Was working at First Help with this really awesome guy named Joe Willis, and with Karen Solomon. That was a fortuitous kind of meeting at a class that you taught in San Antonio, and I needed something to grab onto to continue to like, what next? What's my purpose? Where do I go from here? How do I continue to define that? What does it look like? I'm no longer a policeman. And I started working with you, was still teaching agencies, about resilience, the responder readiness course, what it looks like to be ready and resilient. And fast forward I guess it was about a year. And then Warrior's Heart, in comes Warrior's Heart. And that's another really cool story. And I've been doing that since 2023. I started with them. So been a really interesting journey.
Yeah. I'll tell you, when you left for Warrior's Heart, it was like one of the moments where I saw in you like a purpose, a drive. And I will tell you, everybody's had those teams where you work on a team with somebody and one person leaves and it's like a leg of the tables pulled out from underneath you. That's how it felt when you left. But I'll be honest, I don't know that I've ever, that I can think of, been happier for somebody in this space to watch that transition, because you are where you belong and you're doing some really great work there. And I'm excited to hear more about what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Joe. I remember leaving was that was a tough decision. And you know, plus I had to move across the country. Like there was all these things happening. But you're not wrong, man. Purpose, you know, that word, and it's like, what's next for all the responders out here? It was like, man, I knew exactly who I was when I was in uniform and I was doing that job. Suddenly I didn't have that. And it was like, what's the next thing that's going to define who Mike Marotta is? Well, what I've since learned is none of it defines who Mike Marotta is. Mike gets to define who Mike is. But I was looking and I was searching. I was doing the work. I was trying to live the right life, and the thing found me. I didn't necessarily find it, and that was tough, man. Because we were having a lot of fun. Next leveling helped.
Yeah. Yes, we were.
Yeah.
You know, you did a lot of meaningful work there with Blue Help, and I'm sure with San Antonio with your former PD.
Yeah.
And you said sometimes you got to realize you got to get out of the way to make things succeed, or something similar to that. What was it that that light bulb moment that told you that? Was there a certain person that told you that, or was it just some reflection in the mirror?
Yeah, it was reflective, you know, for me, and it was actually pretty recent that my wife and I, we do every single day. Like I get up for the gym. I'm a 4 a.m. guy. Get up, go to the gym, 5 a.m. class 4 or 5 times a week. And my wife and I read. We read Ryan Holiday. We have a bunch of other kind of things that we read together, and we like really dig into us and to who we are as not only as a couple, but as individuals. And I remember this one day going, man, you know what? When I was doing wellness, as great as that was, that became about me, because I had a need. I had a desire to be needed. Like I loved it when people needed me and when people required my help. And while that's awesome and it's purposeful and meaningful, it was also kind of leading me astray. I don't know that I would have had that reflection had I stayed in the thing. So it wasn't necessarily a light bulb, but it was just we were talking one day and I was like, that it stung. But it went exactly the way the universe wanted it to go. I moved out of the way. The thing grew. And just what a blessing to watch. I still keep up with those guys, and they're doing great work.
Awesome. That's good to hear. I mean,
well, it's still definitely a role model program, you know, across the country. Oh, go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
Oh, no. I just wondered, you know, you've left. There's other people that have followed in your footsteps. Are there still some room for them to grow and help the San Antonio PD and make this kind of a regional, or is this just a San Antonio specific thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think when in terms of like law enforcement agencies, you know, the majority of law enforcement agencies around the United States, and I think the statistic still holds true, are, you know, probably, you know, 80 officers or less. The majority of police departments. You have a very small number of police departments that are in the thousands. San Antonio PD was one of those. So I think oftentimes what happens in these, you know, when San Antonio PD or LA PD or Chicago PD or NYPD, Miami PD, pick one, does something, I think just as a kind of natural byproduct, all the agencies in the area go, well, what are they doing? Because now we want to model that and do it and take that on as our best practice. So I do believe that in the South Texas region, and even they had some influence over the Dallas wellness program. I think absolutely they are a beacon, and they are helping beyond the walls of just San Antonio PD. They're influencing the hundreds of agencies around the state, and I'm guessing probably even beyond that, because we're all looking at each other. And I say us, like law enforcement, we're all looking like, how do we solve the problem? Like, How do we solve the riddle? Suicide is still pervasive. Mental health is still pervasive. Addiction is still pervasive. What is the answer? We're all trying to figure it out. This cannot be done in a silo. We got to break out beyond the walls of our own agencies and reach out and help each other.
Well said.
Absolutely.
Really
Absolutely.
well said. So you did not start off in San Antonio PD as the wellness guy, right?
Mhm.
You had a long career leading up to that, many years of time on the road. Talk to us a little bit about the transition there, kind of what's the hidden costs, right? And some of the things you noticed then that have become clearer to you now at this point in your career.
Yeah. Almost sounds a little bit like Emerson Hour, right? What has become more clear? So it's funny, when you're in it, you don't notice it. Again, this was an observation I made years after I left, but looking back, I mean, I broke out on the South Side very early in the career. I mean, officer involved shootings, seeing friends of mine shot, fights, you name it, we were involved in it. And I just remember, I didn't notice it at the time, but looking back, I started a couple years in looking like, oh, what's the next thing that I can do? Went over to the downtown bike patrol unit. Again, great detail, complete different police work, a little bit more community oriented policing, but working downtown. Again, same challenges, same difficulties. I worked a little bit of a different shift a little bit later, pulled me a little bit further away from my family, because now instead of getting home at 10:30 at night, because I was kind of on that mid shift, now I was working what they called the power shift. I was 5:30 p.m. to 3:30 a.m. So it pulled me a little bit further away from the family, continued to disconnect my wife and I. And I did that for probably 8 years. I was working downtown. Suddenly I find myself on the behavioral health unit. Now I'm working a more normal schedule. And what I realized almost immediately is that my wife had turned into oil and vinegar, and we just did not know how to be a couple. I certainly didn't know how to be a father to the boys. I was so disconnected and removed, and shift work, police work, just the high adrenaline, high octane, I can only talk to other cops mentality took hold. I didn't connect with my family. Again, another point is what I realize now is there was a lot of built-in opportunity to connect with the people that were closest to me without really sharing all the kind of gory details. I could have shared hey, I'm really frustrated. I'm really angry. I feel sad. I feel lonely. I didn't know how to use those words. Nobody taught me. The agency certainly didn't help me use those words. I didn't know what it was to be curious about me, curious about my wife. I had forgotten all that. All I knew was how to be a cop, how to be with the guys. And so it was really not until years after these roles that I look back, reading Dr. Gil Martin's work. That book still lands with me 100%. When I really went, oh man, there's a high toll and high price that we're all paying here, and we don't even know that we're paying it. And that was really scary because it's still happening.
Yeah, it is. And you talk a lot about the what you can share with your family and that sort of thing. And I know in our journey together through a lot of the work we did with family readiness and that sort of stuff, there's always that hanging thing. Well, I can't tell my family these things. And I think it's incredibly important to call out what you just said, is that you can and you must. You must communicate. You must learn to connect. And emotional literacy is one of the things that this profession struggles with, because it's not only not ingrained, it's discouraged, correct?
Yeah. 100%. I mean, how do you, you're not taught to use words like lonely and sad. Anger is a pretty pervasive like emotion. I'm angry. There's a lot of guys, and I'm going to sorry for this, but like, I'm pissed, I'm pissed off. Like, it's kind of the state of being. And I'm like, well, now what's underneath that, right? We taught that in responder readiness. Like, what is the primary emotion and the driver behind this? What's the core belief? What is the subconscious thought that's kind of pushing you in that direction? Man, the emotional intelligence piece, we just didn't teach it. There was no class on that, on emotional literacy. Nobody gave the words. We all just kind of were angry, and we were all angry together. And I wish I got a little bit of it. I wish I could go back and really lean into those conversations and really challenge people's perspectives, because it's what's needed now more than ever. Families, marriages, they need strong presence in the home. And it starts with those conversations.
And I just want to backtrack a little bit. Something you said about we hang out with those that are like us, the cops, the boys, and
yeah.
So this is funny, because I just had this conversation just earlier this week and last month, and one of the conversations I had was with the mother of a new officer. And she was telling me that her son, who just became a new officer, just off FTO, has kind of pushed his old friends away and only hangs out with cops. What kind of and I know we see that with some of the younger folks in ILEETA who just come. What kind of advice do you have to those people that kind of push their friends away, that are no longer are not in law enforcement, and they just go and hang out with cops? What would you like to say to those folks?
Man, hang on to those people tight. Hang on to those people tight. That longitudinal study I think Harvard has done, and it's still ongoing, about the quality of one's life and people's longevity, still proofs out it is attached to the quality of your relationships. Before you become a cop, you have your friends, you got your family, you got your circle. Hang on to those people. They're the ones that were there before you started. They're going to be the ones that are there after you're done. Like, man, if I could just give anybody advice, it'd just be hang on tight, because those people matter. The people that were there before, the people that encouraged you on your journey and really propped you up and encouraged you to choose this as a career path, hang on to them, because it matters. And there's something to be said about good friends, and there's something to be said about healthy relationships beyond law enforcement. I wish I had leaned into that a little bit more, and continued to stoke the fires of those relationships, because they were really important.
Absolutely. I was that guy when I was a young cop, and that's exactly what I told her. Get back to calling those friends up and going out for a coffee, beer, whatever it is. But,
yeah. And they're going to be the ones that are going to see the change. They're going to see, they're the ones who are going to go, hey, wait a second, Joe, Brian, what's going on here? Something's different. And you may not like to hear it, but I promise at some point you're going to look back and say, thank you. Thank you for calling me out, because I needed it.
Absolutely. There's this, that saying, show me your 5 closest friends and I'll tell you who you are. There's another analogy along those lines about satellites, right? And GPS. So if all of my satellites are in a single direction and I begin to move to where those satellites can't see me, and nothing's over there to reflect back for me, where am I? And this is an easy way to get lost. And one of the easiest ways to know where you are position-wise in life and in careers and everything else is to have as diverse of satellite reflection as possible to help you pinpoint locations and remember exactly where you're at and be able to find yourself. And so spot on, dude. I love that.
Absolutely. Everybody, every year, again, I wish I had adopted this as a practice. Every year, people should be reorienting themselves to their goals, their purpose, and their why. Like every year, you know, I've heard them called vision retreats. You should get back to who I am. Who am I? And what are my values at this point in my life? And am I living within them? Because like, what are my priorities? And I'm not talking about, oh, what are your priorities? You know, God, family. Like, what are your priorities? Write it down. Where are you spending your time? And I guarantee there's going to be a misalignment. And then figure out, how can I get back into alignment? It's something that we do as an organization, is like, we got to get back in alignment with the organizational values. We have a responsibility to do it with ourselves and with the people we love the most as well.
I love it. So let's talk about that, the organization. And you'd said something a little while ago about, you know, you wish you had a chance to go back and redo some of those things and to influence people earlier on, but you're doing good work now. And I'm not saying that in the condescending, you're doing good. I'm saying you are doing good works where you're at and making a difference. So let's talk about that. What are you doing at Warriors Heart? Kind of talk us through the methodology you're using.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm the executive director for the Warriors Heart campus in Virginia. So we're in Central Virginia, just so people kind of have an idea. If you went to the middle of Virginia between Fredericksburg and Richmond, you kind of drew a line and met them right in the middle. We're there, 520 acre, 60 bed licensed facility. What we do at Warriors Heart, the same thing that our Texas campus does. We offer detox on site. We're also what they call a 3.5, which means after they do detox, they can also stay with us for the residential treatment stay. We're very unique. We offer a 42-day inpatient residential treatment program. And what really makes us unique is, one, we're solely dedicated to the warrior class. So that's military, both active duty and veterans of the United States military, and then all active, former, retired first responders, police, fire, EMS, corrections. I even had someone probably about a year and a half ago whose connection to the warrior class was this person was an air life pilot, right? And yeah, right. You wouldn't think that, but they're an emergency healthcare worker. And if COVID left us with nothing, it kind of broadened the definition of what a first responder really is and looks like. So that's who we serve. We are a 42-day inpatient program, which again is unique because I would say the industry standard is still the 28, 30-day model. We are 42-day, and our commitment to the Warriors is, despite insurances, funding, you are going to get the full 42 days when you come into our campus. And our team says, welcome home, because that's how we greet every single one of our Warriors. You are going to get the full 42 days of training while you're with us. And again, another unique part of the program is not only are we treating the substance use, but at the same time, we're also treating the co-occurring mental health disorder, the PTS, the depression, the anxiety. There's great success in having this interrelated model where you're treating them both at the same time, as opposed to we're going to treat this addiction and then we're going to get into the mental health. We're treating it at the same time, which is kind of another unique part of our programming. Yeah. So that's
what are you seeing as far as the co-occurrence? Is that the predominant situation, co-occurrence of mental health disorder and substance abuse, and or what are you seeing there?
Yeah, so we're looking for a primary diagnosis of substance use disorder. What I have seen a lot is, and I hear this a lot, well, PTS is my problem. Depression is my problem. I drink occasionally. What I have found is, if you create the space for the conversation, a lot of times what you find is, yes, the PTS and the depression are the conduit, but the bigger driver is the addiction. And what I always ask folks, and we have a wonderful admissions team, our admissions advocates 24/7 are able to navigate those conversations. But it's like, if this is affecting your life, if this is taking a little bit more time than you think it should, it's probably something you need to look at. If it's pulling you away from family, from activities, it's probably something you need to look at. If it's something you're doing and you don't want anyone to know, it's probably something that you need to take a look at. But yeah, to circle back to your question, Joe, we are seeing a lot of, well, PTS is my issue, but PTS oftentimes is the conduit to the addiction, to the drinking, to the drug use and things like that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
You know, I just want to give you a huge round of applause from myself for doing what you're doing and standing up and being a huge advocate for all the warriors, all the men and women that recognize that they have a problem and they need to seek help. And another huge round of applause to all those that are taking that first step to go and seek some help. And, you know, thank you, Mike. Really appreciate you for being that spokesperson and an advocate for our warriors.
Oh yeah, no, man, it is the honor of my life. It's, you know, picking up the 1,000-pound phone it's a huge deal. But if you're a human, like this mission resonates. It, like, we're super unique because we've all served and we've had these really incredible roles and we get to be around other high performers, and I love that. But the issue of addiction, mental health, it goes beyond these career fields. Like, if you're a human having a human experience, some part of this mission is gonna resonate and land, because at the end of the day, we're all just doing the best we can, right?
True story. So let's talk real quick about transitions, because unfortunately we are going to have to transition into a next segment here in a second. But I want to ask you, you're a man who's been through numerous career and life transitions. You've had the stress and struggles of doing that. Many of the people that are listening and will see this eventually are sitting in that space of what is next. And I know you've got a unique approach to how you do your end of year, beginning of year, watchword sort of stuff. You're a very future and goal oriented person. Kind of talk us through your thoughts on the importance of transition planning and preparation.
Oh man, that's a tough one. Here's the first thing: don't be afraid. Like, fear is an inhibitor. Fear stunts growth. Don't be afraid. Everybody who's listening to this, I guarantee, no matter what role you play at your particular agency in your career field, you are poised and you are built and set, and you have been created for whatever is next. And you have skills that are being honed and refined right now to do whatever is next. The other, like, important piece is, like, defining your I am, right? Is I am. Those are some of the most powerful words in the English language are I am. You know, what is your I am? What do you intend to be? What is that going to look like? Our value goes beyond money. It goes beyond our retirement accounts, how much I'm going to get, whatever my drop back is, and all the things that we spend our time calculating. At the end of the day, is like, I am a husband, I am a father, I am a follower, I am a believer, I am a changer, I am curious, whatever that looks like. Use those words to propel you into whatever is next. It is important to start thinking about the future, but also realizing that the future is not nearly as scary as you think it is right now. I can tell you, for a guy who I had no plans. Joe, you know this about me. I had no plan. I had no what's next. I had no job career lined up. But what I knew is exactly who I was and who I intended to be. And I still use that, because Warriors Heart could say tomorrow, hey, Mike, you're out of here. We love you, but you're just not our guy anymore. And guess what? I get to redefine who that is and who Mike will be next. Like, I got to always be in the space. And because I've already done it once, I'm willing to do it a second, third, and fourth time. I realized it wasn't nearly as scary as I thought it was going to be. So I encourage all your listeners, all your viewers, like, don't be afraid. Stay in the I am, plan who you want to be, and you're going to be just fine. Trust me.
I love it. And, you know, this is one of the many reasons I miss working with you, brother, because that's almost exactly what I was hoping you would say, is something along those lines, where you spent the time in the trenches in those spaces, and yet it was your identity, your conviction to who you are, that pushed you into these spaces, and you just crushing it, man. And thank you once again for what Warriors Heart has done for ILEETA and continues to do. And I know we can't talk details, and I know very little, and you certainly know more that you can't share with us. But Warriors Heart has had a direct impact on ILEETA members, and we are grateful for you for that. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, the honor and pleasure. And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at ILEETA 2026. I can't believe it's already here, man.
54 days.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
That's just crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
54 days. That's
going to be a great time.
Well, Mike, we're going to need to transition into our instructor development segment, and we're going to ask you to stick around and kind of capture a thought from you on the back end of that. But yeah, Brian, what do you think? You want to call up Carrie real quick? I got her if you're ready for it. Awesome.
Let's bring up our good friend Carrie.
So when we look at how memory works, and the fact that we tend to remember most of the beginning and the end. And one of the things that we often see in training is that the beginning of a class is spent giving bios and introductions of the instructors, and that's not what we want people to come away with. So when they leave our training, we don't want them to remember our bio. So I really want to impress on people the importance of the beginning and how you start your training. Hi, ILEETA members. I'm Carrie Avery. I'm the owner of Odin Training Solutions Incorporated. I'm up in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and I've been designing and developing training programs, working with law enforcement training for over 20 years. So training should be starting either with something that, why are we here? Why is this relevant? So do you want to start with either a case, a video, or even some sort of like pre-assessment, so you can ask questions and have people thinking, pique their interest around the topic and what they already know about it, or a really kind of heavy case as to why we're here. Here's some statistics. Here's kind of something to sort of grab people. Here's a video. I once did a course. It was on supervising officers who have responded to domestic violence calls. And so we started it with the video of a very tragic case, the beginning of a woman who'd been a domestic violence victim, whose husband actually ended up murdering their child. And so we started with that video, and it was very powerful as to this is why we're here. If we don't do a good job supervising officers who have attended domestic violence calls and making sure we do all the follow-up, this is a potential outcome. And it was the class was very, very engaged. And such a difference from just standing there doing bios. So I really encourage people to think about how they start their class, really hammer in on the why, and get people thinking about the topic. And then you can do your bio later. I'm not saying don't introduce yourself, just don't start there. Start with something good, and then you can go into introductions. Usually I do some sort of icebreaker, have everybody introduce themselves, and then I, as the instructor, introduce myself last. Because I want to impress on them that the class is about them, not about me being the expert on the stage. So I like to do my introduction last. So that's my biggest tip for instructor development, is really focus and put a lot of energy on how you're going to start the class, because it really sets the tone for the rest of the training.
Thoughts on that, Mike?
I learned that from you, man, right? Short bio, start off with a story, start off with something really impactful that's going to draw them in. Maya Angelou said it. People never remember what you did, but they remember how you made them feel. And what I always want to leave people feeling, because then there's a buy-in. I always want people to feel like I'm passionate. And I always love when people say, man, Mike, you had a lot of passion. And because I had passion, there's a level of rapport and trust built with the audience. And I love how, really dig into your why you're doing this, why this subject matter is important. The bio matters so little. I'm Mike, like, yeah, great, move on. But the story to really bring them in is key. And Joe, you exemplified that, and you taught me that. And that is still that is what I do when I'm going to present. I try to draw them in with something that's going to really impact them early. and then we can get into it, because now I got some trust built. So I love that.
Well, the student became the teacher, and I'll tell you, like, if you've ever watched Mike Marotta open a class, you see it. It's mastery, and you do really well with the way you pull people into the story. And I think we're on the same page, man. We may have been in the same place when you learned it, but I don't know that I taught you. You had it. So the hands down, that story works. What about you, Brian? What's thoughts on that?
I learned that from Brian Willis. You know, give your bio or a little bit about yourself, not at the beginning, but maybe a little bit here and a little bit there throughout your course. And, you know, nobody is, when they go to a class, your bio is on a piece of paper in a booklet somewhere. People are coming to see you for a reason, and they know who you are by, like I said, reading in a booklet or a pamphlet or a flyer that, oh, Brian Hill or Joe Willis or Mike Marotta is going to be teaching this class, and here's his bio. They don't want to hear you stand up. And we've all been to that class or that conference where somebody stands up there and talks about themselves, their bio, for 15, 30, 45 minutes on everything they've done. And you shut down. When they do that, that gives you a permission to go on a vacation in your mind to some beach in Tahiti or something. You know, you're not going to learn anything because this guy's egotistical, or the girl's an egotistical person. So good.
I start wondering why they can't keep a job. At some point when everybody gives their whole resume, I'm like, man, have you ever worked anywhere for, I'm sorry, I digress. You know who taught me though? Val Van Brocklin. You remember her, Valerie Van Brocklin?
I do. Yep.
From Alaska.
She was awesome.
Grab them by their hearts and their minds will follow was one of the very first law enforcement training classes I attended, and phenomenal. And I think I've tried to stick to it since then, but Carrie Mencier was the one who actually gave me a reminder many years ago about how important it is. So Brian, I guess, you know, I hate this part. We're coming to the last 10 minutes of the show, right? And we've had an awesome opportunity with our guest tonight who, yes, Mike, I think we should have had you on before, but I'm glad we waited until now because, there's just that much more that's happened since then. So where do we go now, Brian? Like we want to bring out Jenny Merlin here in a second to talk about membership and kind of a couple of things about that. We were noticing some things on the membership front. So I sat down with her and had a conversation. And so you think now's the time to hear from Jenny Merlin?
Let's bring Jenny out, and then we can all wrap it up and do the round robin here after Jenny talks.
Sounds good.
With our annual membership, this is the only one that we have that has automatic renewal. So when you go in, you apply online and you go ahead and put in your payment, it automatically is going to put that as a automatic renewal unless you opt out.
At the request of many of our members, right? Like we were constantly getting asked, wouldn't auto renewal be easier, right?
Correct. Yeah. So we wanted to make that option available to everybody. The program that we use, it basically you have to opt out of it in order to not be in the automatic renewal. If you are somebody who is using a department credit card and you don't have the authorization to do automatic renewals, make sure you opt out of that. If you're not sure, if you're not sure if you're in the automatic renewal or not, just go ahead on our website and log into your account. And at the top, it's going to tell you what your membership level is. But there also underneath there, it's going to say that that automatic renewal or automatic recurrence or something to that effect. And then if you want to opt out, that's right below it. So you're going to click on that link right there to opt out of the automatic renewal. If you have troubles with anything, by all means, just give me a call or shoot me an email, and I can take care of it pretty easily on my end. So that's our first membership, which is, like I said, the annual membership. Then we also have a 3-year membership. If you've never been a member before and you're just signing up and you want to do the 3-year membership, it's $125 for your first 3 years. after that renewal is $120. So again, it's a $20 savings for you is what that amounts to. And then lastly is our bundle membership. Our bundle membership is really most beneficial and ideal for agencies that have like a training division and you have several instructors that you want to be able to reap the benefits of ILEETA. This allows you to have one invoice, one person takes care of it, one person handles all the payments, and then everybody has the same renewal date. Not only that, but if somebody from your team ends up either retiring or promoting or even leaving the department, you can, as a bundle, you can have somebody replace that person, no extra charges. I'm excited to talk to people, and I love being able to talk to people. So if you have questions and you don't want to go back and forth in an email, I have no problem talking to you on the phone. And in fact, most of the time it's easier. So by all means, please just give me a call, 262-767-1406. Option number 1 will get you right to me. I enjoy meeting all of you at the conference and can't wait to see those of you that are coming in March, and look forward to talking to you on the phone.
Awesome. So, thank you so much, Jenny.
Thank you.
And welcome back. Yeah, I was so glad she did that with us. I mean, there's just so many questions about membership, and we're able now to put that on the site and share it here this evening as well.
Awesome. And I had a question about membership last week for you, Joe, and that answered it right there. So yeah, somebody asked me, and wow, wish I would have had that video to just zap to them.
Here you go. Yeah. Well, it's about that time, Brian. I guess we're gonna have to wrap it up here, huh?
Yeah, let's run down some dates before we do our final thoughts with each other here. February 1st, we got the Trainer of the Year. Who do you think should be the Trainer of the Year? 2026 Trainer of the Year or 2025?
Yeah, 2026 Trainer of the Year. I know it's the last year happened, but we do it in this year. Yeah, so it's 2026.
So all that information is on the website, easy to get to, and you can nominate who you believe should be a Trainer of the Year, who's done some phenomenal instrumental things for law enforcement training. Anything to add to that, Joe?
Nope. Nail on the head. Live fire registration. February 2nd this year. So we're doing it on the first Monday of February moving forward. What ends up happening is when it lands on a Saturday, first of all, or a Sunday or whatever over a weekend, the admin staff from a department isn't typically there to help the officer on that end. And then on our end, it's now on a weekend and that kind of stuff. So we've gone with the first Monday in February. Journal articles. Brian, tell us.
Journal articles. Well, this journal is dedicated to the conference. So if you are teaching at the conference, this is your opportunity to give a teaser about your class, what you're going to be teaching at the conference. So strictly 1,000 words, no more than 1,000 words, and submit those to one of the editor journals. Carrie Avery will be putting that together, and she does a phenomenal job, and a lot of hard work goes into putting that journal together. So kudos to Carrie for doing that. And, we look forward to reading about what you're going to be teaching at the ILEETA conference this year.
Absolutely. The next big thing, ILEETA 2026 hashtag. So yeah, let's talk that, Brian. You asked me what hashtag we're going to use. Make sure we put that out. It is hashtag ILEETA 2026. That's the one we want everybody using the full year, spelled out or filled out in there, whatever, not spelled out, but you know what I mean. ILEETA 2026, and that is March 16th through the 21st in St. Louis, Missouri. And I'm super excited. Like I can't wait. And I know none of you can either. Next ILEETA Live. We're gonna do it from St. Louis, right, Brian? The 18th.
Yes. Yep. I was awesome. Trying to type that up as you're talking there. ILEETA.
Man, the one time Joe shut up too soon, right? Normally this guy could just talk and talk and talk, and the one time he stops talking. Anyway, ILEETA Live next month is at ILEETA Live, and we're doing it with Ray Merlin, just kind of talking the big picture of ILEETA, what we're doing. Again, those 3 pillars of ILEETA: connection, legacy, and evolution. Right? They are so important, and we'll end up talking about those in detail on the 18th.
For those of you that are not able to make it to the conference, this is your opportunity to kind of join us to see what is going on at the ILEETA 2026 conference.
Absolutely. All right.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
So the time has come, unfortunately, because Mike, I mean, honestly, man, we could have talked all night, and I mean, just a conversation with you, and I know the members are looking forward to engaging with you. You're going to be there at least from Monday through Wednesday for sure with us this year. What's the plan?
Yeah, I'm planning on being there, probably going Sunday, be there till Friday. I got kind of dinged from the folks that I took, my wife being one of them. We wanted to be longer. They want to attend the classes, the training. So we're going to be there a little bit longer. So I'm looking forward to having conversations about Warriors Heart and how we can support ILEETA members.
Absolutely. Awesome.
We're looking forward to connecting, and we're just glad that you're doing everything that you can for ILEETA, sponsoring the Emerson Hour. That's huge, and thank you for doing that, Mike. Really appreciate that.
Oh yeah, man, it is Warriors Heart's pleasure and an honor, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody in 54 days.
Man, this hour went fast, and I stalked your LinkedIn, and I wanted to ask you about your 2026 mantra. You posted, and
I know. Don't be a victim. We didn't even get into that, man. We're gonna have to save that for ILEETA. I got a lot of great conversation pieces about my mantras, my words. Joe's familiar with that, so don't be a victim.
I tried to allude to it earlier, but we had to move on. But last year was growth. This year, don't be a victim. I love it. And so during the transition question, it started to come up, but I was like, no, I need to zero in on this other thing first. So yes, it is a conversation worth having. You find Mike at ILEETA, ask him about his annual mantra and his watchword and what keeps the compass pointed north for the year. Great stuff, dude.
Absolutely. Joe, any final words before we close out?
Just a sincere thank you to Warriors Heart and all of our sponsors who make the ILEETA conference possible, for the members who are willing to show up and invest themselves in the profession. And ILEETA exists to inspire excellence, and that is the place to find it.
Before I'm going to give it to Mike to close us out and give us the last words of wisdom from you. But I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I look forward to seeing you all here in 54 days at the St. Louis Hotel, Union Station Hotel. And man, can't wait. Mike, final thoughts, words of wisdom for the members.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. So just really quickly, we had our quarterly meeting and our CEO stood up, and one of Warriors Heart's biggest missions is empowering the human spirit. So like what I want to leave your listeners, your viewers with is for them to find ways that they too can empower the human spirit, and what that might look like for them moving in and through 2026. So I had a really great conversation with you guys. I enjoyed my time with you. I hope somebody took some value from this. I encourage people to go to www.warriorsheart.com, take a look. And if we can serve somebody right here, right now, we are ready to do that. So thank you guys for having me on and for inviting Warriors Heart here.
Absolutely. Thank you. Well, stick around, Mike, as we close out the show here. Just a question for you once we shut down.
Yep.